Hey, all you Arizona lovers. This is the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose.
And I'm your producer, Brittany.
And here at Finding Arizona Podcast, we collect the local stories of all entrepreneurs and from around the valley. So join us at findingarizonapodcast.com, where you can hear every episode and see it as well at
YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment below who you want to see next on our show. And when you're ready to start your podcast, you found the right spot. Found House, your next podcast production company.
Now, let's get back to the show. Score big with SeatGeek. Whether it's concerts, sports, or live events, SeatGeek has you covered. Use code FindingArizona to get a fantastic $20 discount on your SeatGeek tickets. Catch your favorite live events hassle-free with extra savings. Visit SeatGeek.com and make every experience unforgettable. Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and as always, we bring in special guests every week. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, because if you haven't already seen or know about him, he's already a podcaster. He's got a lot of things in cooking in the books, but I'm gonna let him introduce yourself because it's so exciting to have him aboard.
It's so exciting to be here. Anyways, hi, I'm the Delo. Well, actually, I'm David Delorenzo, yes. Otherwise known as the Delo. So, and I'm a native Arizonan.
Yes.
I don't think you knew that.
Maybe. No, I did know that, actually.
I'm very easy to Google.
Yeah, so I was going to say, if anything, if I haven't done my research already, it's like, there's a couple of things that
pretty easy to find out stuff about me. I'm very transparent. I don't hide much. And, I'm at a point in my life at 51 where it's very enjoyable to just be able to share and to give and to open up a plethora of, let's just say, energy, energy out sort of thing. So I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I kind of find interesting about people who come in here is the question that we've always asked everyone who's just wanting to know about us is the history part of what we're trying to kind of dig up and unearth. And so I usually ask everyone is give us a little bit of your origin story, because what you do and who you are is it's a lot of hats. Yeah. A lot of things going on behind the scenes. But overall, kind of like this network of interesting things that kind of, there's what do they call them? Venn diagram of different things that you do that kind of culminate into who you are today.
It's been my curse and my blessing. So really what it comes down to are two words. I'm a connector. Yeah. I'm a protector.
Okay, awesome.
So I just leave it that simple now, because I'm so good at complicating and confusing things, and everybody sees that my hands are in a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just about connecting.
Absolutely.
Who can I put in touch with whomever over here that's going to help them have a synergetic, energetic and positive relationship?
Absolutely.
And so if you dial it down to what I do and who I am as a business, it comes down to the protection part. And that's just, insurance coverage. Yeah. Primarily for restaurants. I've built a very exclusive and, 25-year career in owning restaurants and insuring about 600 in Arizona right now. Yeah. But we also do, it's a full service agency with home and auto and life and all that. Again, for me, that's about connecting people with the right people in my office to be able to get all of those services. Yeah. So I enjoy networking. I enjoy talking. As you had said, just when we started, yes, I do have a podcast. I'm 166 episodes in. Why do I do it? I do it because I like to have conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to go grab a cup of coffee somewhere. Why don't we just do it in my office and let's just talk on film? And I want to hear about your story.
Absolutely. I think one of the great things about having other podcasters come in is because we get each other, so to speak, where it's like the idea of it's not about us. It's really about that connection and trying to build those networks of people who are gonna really be great together. And so I'll give you some insight into our world is we're about 550 episodes. Yeah. So we've been doing it for a while, but one of the things that we've kind of curated or wanted to start to curate is that kind of idea of some of these people have never met before. Yeah. And we think that they would be great working together, or kind of like the ideologies are similar, that they should meet each other. And so we've started to pick up on that note, and now have decided kind of like a quarterly thing. We're going to start doing groups where we're reintroducing their story, but also kind of a group setting where they can meet each other and kind of hear each other's story of like this great panel of experts or people in the business or in the realm. And let's see if we can create something from a conversational standpoint of like ideas, and just kind of filtering in the fun and just filtering in them will allow us to kind of make connections.
It's a great idea. A lot of people are always looking to find, let's just say, their spirit animal in business and in friendship, you know, to connect, and it gets, you know, for the right people. For me, speaking for myself, because I know myself, I get more excited about connecting somebody with the right vendor or the right service, you know, or whatever it may be, than I do getting my own win sometimes. Yeah.
I think there's a level of kind of this one step away from one step away from the business, so to speak, where I'm like, I think I heard someone say, if you want to learn about what people thought of like this high ranking individual, read the biography of the lieutenant that had to work closest.
Right.
And so like, I was like, oh man, that's so interesting, because again, it's like, it's the person that you're working with as a network. That's like, if you're a bad leader, or if you're bad, like, you need to fill out that network of individuals that are going to work well and best with you and your business.
It's definitely something that's a good point. It's definitely something that I pride myself with, having 13 of my own employees, and they're all women. It just so happens, but they are absolutely the backbone, and they are the reason why a lot of my success has happened. If not entirely. I can't do the things without the bag or what goes on. But let's just say, when you're looking at what's been provided both for me and for them, it's a win-win in both scenarios. So when you're able to pay 100% of their health insurance, when you're able to allow them to work for wherever they want, whatever hours they want, we don't even worry about PTO. It's just do your job. That's all you have to do.
Do the thing
number one, take care of your family, take care of yourself, and you'll be able to take care of the client. And if the client's happy, we're all happy. And I don't have to micromanage. I don't have to go in the office. They don't have to go in the office. I have a nice, beautiful office up in North Scottsdale, but you know, and then, you know, we have 401k, we have, you know, all sorts of just other positive things that allows them. And so my tenure of those people are a decade and more. I have people that have been with me for 20 years, 18 years, 13 years, 14 years. So, you know, there's a lot to be, again, to your point, go talk to them to find out what sort of person I am.
Exactly.
Because that's really what it is.
And so this kind of bleeds into the idea of like how you've built your relationships and built your kind of contacts and networks. Can you give us kind of the insight before you created the insurance business on what you were dealing with as far as your own personal history of working like as a contact for some of these individuals, and like learning the processes and trying to build your network so that you can go into the insurance business?
I was never destined to go in the insurance business. My dad got into it out of college, and then he worked for Allstate for 13 years, and then that went awry because he sold too much, believe it or not, and they didn't like that. So he went and started his own brokerage, and then that was something that was the furthest from my mind of ever wanting to do. I was born here, lived in Atlanta, came back out here to finish up high school and live with my dad and actually get to discover what he did and how he did it. And so I would go in and out of the office and understand that. And I was like, this is horrible. I'm never doing this. Well,
that's the beauty of like asking the why we ask this, is because again, it's like sometimes this happens where the offspring is like, I don't want to be you. I don't want to do the things that you do. And I want to do this other thing, or like, I'm not interested. I have other things that I'm kind of wanting to do and reach for. And
I ended up doing those things. So that's what's really phenomenal about this, is because nobody grows up and says, I want to sell insurance. Nobody. Right. So I end up going to ASU. I get an internship for a company called WEA, We is a distribution company for albums, for records. Okay. The W is Warner Brothers. The E is Elektra, which had Motley Crue and Two Doors Down and bands like that at the time. Atlantic Records was the A. Okay? Oh, Atlanta had like Led Zeppelin to you name it, all and Warner Brothers is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers did have my favorite band, Van Halen, which was kind of the attraction to getting this internship. Growing up as a kid, laying in bed and listening to what I call butt rock 80s tunes, I fell in love with it. And I wanted to be in the music business in some fashion. Cool. And I told myself, at 14, laying in bed, looking at a poster of Eddie Van Halen, I'm going to meet him one day and I will work in the music business. So fast forward, I'm in college, I'm in Arizona, and I get the internship. And again, the W is Warner Brothers. Yes. And again, Van Halen is with Warner Brothers. So everything that I had, let's just say, meditated on and asked the universe to give to me is coming true. Mm-hmm. So I go do the internship. Warner Brothers then ends up hiring me. I end up working for Van Halen. Nice. I end up working for Aerosmith. I end up working for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm doing all of these things that a 21 to 22-year-old kid would never fathom, right? Yeah. And the record industry still at this time is still relevant right before it's irrelevant, okay? Yeah. So Maverick Records, which is Madonna's record label at the time, gave me a job. Okay. And I was working with bands like The Prodigy and Alanis Morissette and Michelle DeCello and Candlebox, stuff like that. And it was exciting. I was flying back and forth from here to LA to just doing also, again, I'm a kid, right? And I just was like, wow, where is this going? What's going to happen? Yeah. And then just like any sort of event that occurs, whether that be, what happened in 2020 or whether that would be when the Twin Towers came down, like that, the music industry just went to shambles because you had iTunes come out. Yeah. So they weren't selling records inside of record stores anymore. People were just downloading it. Yes. So the whole framing of what the industry looked like was entirely different than what I was getting used to or going into. And so therefore the jobs weren't there. The money wasn't there. It was just different. Yeah. And I had to make a decision at that point. I know I had to get a job offer in Minnesota. No offense. Who wants to live in Minnesota? Right? Like in the winter? Snow alone. Yeah. So I just was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this insurance thing a shot. I'm close to my dad. Let's see what happens. So I get my license. I have a marketing company in the insurance office that's doing street marketing for bands and record labels while that's kind of funneling down. Yeah. And I end up getting my insurance license, and then I get 2 years into it, and I'm selling renter insurance policies. I'm selling auto policies. Mm-hmm. My first commercial policies right down the road here was a junkyard. My first claim was in a junkyard, and I had a guy yelling at me about his junk, and I was just like, I can't do this. This is horrible. I can imagine. So that's when I was able to take the music business, take my personality and my ability to connect and want to be around people. And with a good friend of mine, who, at the time, I ended up writing his bar nightclub on Mill Avenue called the Library Bar and Grill back in 2002, I think it was. And that was it. That was the antithesis. He's like, why don't you just specialize in restaurants? Yeah. Okay. And that was it. And here I am 25 years later. And for 10 years, I struggled. I was the new kid on the block. Insurance is a very fat, white, old man industry, right? Yeah. Now I was fat and white, but I wasn't old, right? So I had two of the three things going for me. But when you're in an old school environment like that, they don't take to the new kid that's coming in and aggressively working hard to write business. And whether that's their business or not their business, it doesn't matter. They see you, you're on the, and you're different. Okay. I'm wearing Van Halen shirts. Yeah. I'm wearing Motley Crue shirts to insurance functions because I don't care. I want to be who I am. And that's what resonated with the hospitality community. None of these nightclub owners wanted a guy that smelled like cigarettes and that wore, a suit to come in and, hang out with. I became these guys' friend and still am today. I have clients that are 20 plus years old, right? That's great. So I got into it. I went in full face, but for 10 years, man, I drove a minivan. Yeah. I lived with my parents. I made zero money, put everything back into everything that I had, knowing that it would pay off. And I became the rock and roll guy of insurance. And now here I am. And it's a great place to be. And so it's allowed me to create this boutique agency and to bring in the right people to do things for the hospitality community specifically.
I got to put it to you though. Sometimes it takes that like aha moment where it's someone going, hey, why don't you just do this? Like, just like take this thing and just like, it's someone's easiest like day of like, oh, it's a thought process answer of like, oh yeah, to them, it's easy just to look at the scenario and be like, oh, just do that.
Right.
But for you, it's like a holy moment of like, oh, never thought about that. That's great. And let me try that.
Yeah.
So I would say it's like, give that friend a hug or give that person a real big hug.
Oh, we're still friends today.
That's great.
We just played pickleball the other day.
Oh, that's awesome.
The thing is, man, is that everybody needs somebody to talk to. And, I'm a business coach for several people that own their own businesses or they're salespeople because they want to learn the sales techniques and the authenticity method, I call it, and what I've done to be so successful. I mean, I've built a multi-million dollar insurance agency that year after year just keeps going better and better and better while I'm even cutting costs and not hiring anymore. It's about productivity systems, retention, and doing all the things that you need to do and not spending too much time on the bad business, right? Yeah. So I have 4 coaches myself, whether they're mental, physical, nutritional, whatever it is.
Nice.
And I'm in a position where I'm able to do that now. So I'm going to invest more back into me so that I can be the best for those that are investing in me.
See, that's where I'm hoping, that's my goal, is to slowly move myself into that more of like, I'm not the end all be all. Nothing funnels through me. Yeah. I am more of like, the processes are here for you to succeed. Yep. So let's go through that. And then if it becomes an issue, like, then it would be me coming in and helping. Yeah. So it's like,
that's all of us entrepreneurs' goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't even tell you the last time I did a quote. I wouldn't even know. but what is our job? What do people want? They want quotes, right? Yes. So guess what? I've got $1 million payroll that I pay people to do quotes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of brings me into where we kind of lean towards is the day-to-day stuff and just kind of like what this today looks like for you and what you were just bringing up and the processes for you and your customers and what they bring to the table. So I'd love to just kind of ask you these types of things like, can you give me your, let's say, a Monday routine for you, like some of those daily routines for your business?
Every day is the same, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I get up at 3:00.
Nice.
Okay. I make a cup of coffee, take the dogs out. Dogs sleep in bed with me, so we get up together. Then I get into my book.
Okay.
About a half hour into it, I gotta go take a dump. You're getting details, bro.
No, we're going to get through this.
And then, I like to read about 30 to 40 pages a morning.
Okay.
I will meditate for a little bit. I'll pray, and then I will go get another cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. And then by then it's probably about 4:15 or so. I will go in and just kind of get ready for my workout, like just kind of prepare my stuff, whatever, do some journaling. And then I'll get one of my dogs. She loves to walk. The other one's a baby and just will, sleep in the couch room. So we'll go for a 2.5 mile walk. Okay. I come back, I work out, whether that workout, that's a little bit different during the week, but it doesn't matter. It's a workout. So I have a full gym garage, or I go do calisthenics, or I go see my trainer. It's one of the 3, right? I take Wednesdays off from working out. That's about it. Come home, my wife's about up then. We'll either go for another dog walk with a little dog because it's 2 of us. And, we live up by the mountains there. So we don't I don't like walking both of them in case there's a coyote or something like that. We'll come home and then I'll make breakfast and then I'll head to work whenever. I'll probably get on my phone at that time. I've read this book called Essentialism and I would recommend it. Okay. All right. It's
if you're
my Bible,
any self-help, anything, this is her realm. This is where she sits.
It's my Bible. Yeah. So I read this book, and going into my day, now my day is completely changed for the better. And so what I did is I deleted all email off of my phone.
Sweet.
All notifications off my phone. I don't care about any. I put when I get home from work, and we eat dinner at 4. Okay. Because I go to bed at 8.
Perfect.
Every day. I'm on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm up at 3:30. And it's just a systematic approach. It's what works for me. It's what gives me the energy. It's what gives me life. It's what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So essentialism changed my life just due to the fact that I've really started focusing on all things that are essential. And what is essential for me is my family, my dogs, my health, my well-being, and the rest of the stuff. It just works, because if you're in a good mood and you feel good, and everything from being flexible to you name it, it's great. So I'll either go into work, or I will, just go on appointments. I know what my calendars look like, and I structure my days now however I want them to be.
Sure.
If it doesn't resonate with me to go meet with you, I'm just not going to do it. Not because I'm better than you. I gotta feel it. I gotta feel the vibe. It's got to make a part.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like once you get past a certain level of like things that you've mastered as far as a skill set for your business, I think you get to a point where you're just like, I'm just gonna do the things that really do bring me joy and happiness because everything else is already working for me.
Right. So while every day is the same, every day is different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always opportunities, and I am just taking in those opportunities, and I'm looking at them as either I'm going to take this one or not take this one, or I'm going to hand this one over, or that sort of thing. And so
I'll let you know this.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed that you've given me an opportunity to be a part of the schedule because you are standing in our home and just really giving us a lot about who you are. And so it does mean a lot because again,
I appreciate it.
The mindset and the mentality and what you're trying to do is proven in the pudding. If you say that, then I truly do mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for coming down here and giving us a little bit.
Well, I enjoy this for you to even want to spend the time with me.
Yeah.
Again, it's nice to be able to meet new people, talk about your stories, and authentically, exchange good energy. That's all it is.
So I have two curiosities.
Yeah.
One being that you're in a very unique spectrum, being that it is a lot to do with restaurants. And one of the things that people may be starting to realize or just starting to come full circle around is that as Phoenix grows, we're probably now the 5th largest city in the US. Yeah. That means that we have a culture of culinary excellence here around the valley, right? Just a level of intrigue that's starting to propel into the world of culinary institutions and stuff like that. We're starting to get, so many chefs getting a lot of really recognizable awards throughout different kind of Mexican, Italian, all these different things. For you, as someone who basically knows these owners and restaurateurs, for you, how much joy is it that food brings in your own life? I would love to hear that from that perspective, because you're seeing and dealing with it on a day-to-day process. Does it even affect you?
This answer is going to completely screw you up.
Because I love hearing when it's the opposite, when it's like, it's the thing I deal with the most, but I have joy out of it.
Here's the thing. I had a drinking problem in not even in college. It was actually when I got in the insurance business. It wasn't even in the music business. I was too busy working and trying to make a name for myself. So I didn't have time to drink, although I did. But it wasn't like when I got in the insurance business, believe it or not, again, back to the fat white man society. That's all these guys did is play golf and drink. And, it's like boiler room stuff. And, I got sucked into that lifestyle for a little bit. So it was not a pretty time of my life, although I have no regrets because a lot of that socialization and other things allowed me to establish some pretty good friendships and relationships. And they weren't all prone to the fact that I drank. They would just happen to be that we were always in places together drinking, right?
Yeah.
And I've owned 13 restaurants. Through those relationships, I've owned restaurants. So I've gotten to speak the language of a restaurateur from the mindset and from the perspective and the avatar of an owner, which is huge. Yeah. Because now I'm not an insurance agent anymore. I'm dealer that owns a restaurant. I have a service that provides protection for your restaurant. I know a little bit about your industry. Yeah. So I'm getting to your question. I promise. So for a good 15 years, I probably just drank too much, and I got fat and I just, lethargic and it's completely opposite of what I was as a kid. Like as a kid, I was always ripped and just kind of put together and, this and that. And recognizing that was very difficult to do. I went through phases. I did a bodybuilding show when I was 36.
Oh, wow.
This was about 3 years prior to meeting my wife. Okay. So, I had quit drinking for over a year during that time, but then I got back into it again. Like, it was like, okay, cool. I did the bodybuilding show. Now I'm just getting back into my old routines. I met my wife. When I met my wife, I was still drinking and partying and doing some of that stuff. And then there just came a point where I'm 40 years old. I'm 51 now, but I was 40 at the time. I inherit these 2 beautiful kids that my wife brings into me, my sons. And I was just like, what's more important to me? Is it not being able to be the 100% human being that I need to be for myself to be that for my family? Yeah. Or is it drinking? Right. Yeah. And I'm not even kidding you. It'll be June 11th will be my 11 years. I haven't had a single drink.
Wow.
And everybody's like, oh, thank you. And everybody's like, congratulations. And I'm very grateful. Don't get me wrong. There is a congratulations to that, but it's just not that big of a deal, And I think a lot of times, yes, there are people that have drinking addictions and they have serious problems and it needs to be taken seriously. I can only speak in context from what happened to me. Wasn't that big of a deal. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I just need a lifestyle change. Yeah. There was no AA involved, although I believe in that for the people that need it. There's just nothing more than just wanting to change something. So when you look into the aspect of food, I started replacing alcohol a lot with food. I was going out to eat all the time. I was doing all sorts of stuff. Look, I love restaurateurs. I love restaurants. I love the community of restaurants. But I am such a nerd now with when and how goes into my body, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if I go out once a week, we're lucky because I like to now maintain a physical aesthetic and a physical inside that looks better than probably 99% of the people my age out there. Yeah. And it's not a brag. It's just, that's what I prefer to do. Yeah. And if you don't prefer to do that, trust me, I kind of sometimes rather be over there with you. It'd be great to go out and have the pancakes every weekend with the chocolate covered donuts. And because I love all that stuff.
Yeah. They get crazy with it at the restaurant.
They 100% do. And I think all that stuff's wonderful to eat and splurge in every once in a while for me. But I, again, like the alcohol, quote unquote, need or addiction to do that sort of thing. Food was the same thing for me. Yeah, so just, a few years ago, I was 20 pounds heavier. I was 22% body fat. I got down to 8%. I mean, all sorts of, good stuff ended up happening. And then that's when I wrote the book with the bracelets I gave you. Just Getting Started is the name of my book. Okay. And that was basically my antithesis of kind of my things that I did in order to get to where I'm at now at 51 and revert back into what I call like a childlike, play-like manner.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're speaking a lot of my language too, because I am just someone who I maintain a level of like curiosity about like a lot of that stuff too. And just from a standpoint of like my own family history of health and wellness, it is something that really does give me, just, a perspective of like, I don't want to be unhealthy and like go through the process that I have many families members who've gone through that like have to struggle to like maintain healthiness. And so for me, I'm like, I try my best to like live a healthy-ish lifestyle and try and do as much as I can on my own accord of like, working out and things like that.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 35. I'm going to be 36. Okay. And so
when listen to me, dude. I'm 51, bro. Okay. I remember 35. It was yesterday.
My God.
It catches up to you so fast, and that's okay. But you don't have to do shit. I'm sorry. Put it in perspective in your mind that you're going to be my age one day, right? And your beautiful son out there, right? Yeah. What form do you want to be for him when you're my age? Yeah. How do you want to move? Yeah. How do you want to react? How do you want to be, right? Yeah. I see myself right now getting to the point of being a 90-year-old man.
Nice. Yeah. Like right? You have those set.
And when I'm 90, I want to be exactly the way I am. Obviously, I'm going to get old. Obviously, I'll have less hair. Yeah. I'll have more wrinkle. Great. Take it on. Love it. Because the alternative is you're dead, right? Yeah. And maybe a lot of us have assumptions or presumptions of what is going to happen if you're spiritual. Yeah. Cool. Great. Go to God. Not a big deal. Some of us are scared to death, right? Because we don't know. Exactly. And maybe we do, maybe we don't. But the point being is, while you're here and you have a physical body, for me, it's so important to take care of it every step of the way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't have your treats, don't have a little bit of fun, but man, that stuff will catch up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is one of the first things on my list. And I'm trying also to be a kind of like someone who wants to share that ideas and some of those results with others. So it's like, I'm trying my best to show my family. It's like, it's possible. You can do that.
It's beautiful.
And my family members who like, oh yeah, you can maintain certain levels of your life and still be healthy. And so that's kind of what I want to give back to them. I would love to also, my other curiosity, and so this kind of goes back to how we've met. Our friend Eric, who is Taste of AZ podcast, is one of our connecting bonds together. So thank you, Eric, for making this happen. But secondly, I'd love to get, just because he's not here in the room right now, is like, give me how you met him and the connections from, you know, the restaurant and the food world that he brings you guys together.
You know, Eric and I are very similar. That I did get to learn that over the time of getting to know him. And it's funny, we talk about all this alcohol, food addiction, all this sort of stuff. And not speaking for Eric, but speaking of, you know, the reality of the situation is that, you know, I did some coaching for him, helped coach him through some stuff. And based on one of our conversations, and he will tell you this, that he's quit drinking for a year.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
We talk all the time and he's still going and chugging along. And I hear him mention it to others.
Not chugging along.
No, not like he's going through the routine, like the life of like what he does for a living, and just how much he puts it on himself to like share his wins, which is,
and that's
like,
all him, man. That's all him. He created those wins for himself because he wanted it and he was ready. He just needed something, like whether it was me or something else, to be that voice of like, it's okay. It's okay to do it. I didn't do crap. He's done everything and he's an amazing dude. But we met each other through the industry. And just again, when it comes to connections, I get along with everybody. I just do. Because it's human nature. I feel that we're all equal. We're all source. We're all energy. We're all, but that's how I really feel until somebody does something that, let's just say, is not going to be, is not going to uplift me in the sense that maybe that's not the right energy for me. Nothing against them. That's cool. But man, our time is limited. You know, do you hang out with everybody you've ever met?
Exactly.
Right? Do you hang out with all of your family?
Oh my gosh.
And just because their mindset is in a different zone or spectrum, or they may, talk different ways than the way that you can analyze what uplifts you or your spiritual nature, doesn't mean you got to hang out with him, man. Yeah. So him and I hit it off in that sense, and we always have. And he's just a good-natured person. And watching him go through the aspect of hospitality, and at a point being the craft brewer guy and having to drink all the beers and this and that. Sometimes you have to adjust your life to the period of where you're at in that life. And once you do it and you realize that, wow, it's not that scary, it's not a big deal.
And it's just been so great after he was basically like, I'm done. I don't want to drink anymore. And so afterwards, I've seen him kind of really develop so much more of his leadership skills and like other aspects of his life and skill sets that has just become like really kind of like this full circle moment of like, you let go of one thing, but it's allowed you to blossom into so much more and so much positivity behind it.
1000%.
Yeah. So I really do appreciate him for introducing me to you, because you again are someone I look at and I'm like, yes, 35 was yesterday, but it's like when I kind of hear the same concepts of like, that's kind of what I want to do, or kind of like, that's what I'm hoping to do, or
16 years. I mean, you have zero excuses. You just go do it.
Absolutely. So,
and there's no such thing as failure. It's just
reinvention.
Pivoting.
Exactly. So, our conversations usually end with kind of like goal setting and just kind of looking towards the future for the business, and really just allowing our listeners to maybe be able to help you with something if you are looking to have a goal reached in the next year or two. So the floor is yours to kind of give us that set. But I would love to kind of end our conversation with is one of the things that you brought up was the processes and just kind of making them so that they work for you and your business. I would love to ask you about AI and just kind of like some of the things that you said you were eliminating to help alleviate and streamline. What has AI brought to you, and what does technology look like for your business and what you guys are going into in the future?
Yeah. Right now, AI for us is such a wonderful tool if you utilize it in the parameters that still allow you to be, I should say, be even more that human connection with somebody else.
Yes.
So I wouldn't even bother having a business if it wasn't for other people that I could connect with. It's not that I get to write, Bill, who has Bill's Steakhouse, a restaurant policy, and make some commission off of it. I could care less at this point in my career. Yes, money is what fuels the tank to provide careers for people, and allows me to eat organic food.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm not downplaying the aspect of money. It's wonderful, right? We're here to provide, but that is just the, that is just the benefit of being able to talk to people and have a relationship with them. And if it's a mutual relationship where they get excited as much as you do to talk about everything else other than what it is that they're paying for because you've established a friendship, right?
Yeah.
That to me is the ultimate goal and the ultimate place to be. So what AI allows me to do is to do that more often, as opposed to sitting, or my staff sitting behind a computer, finding definitions for things, terminologies, claim scenarios, all sorts of very important things that generally you have to call somebody, get them to, back in the day, fax, and now email something, synopsis. You can literally go on AI and find any scenario. You can do your proposals. You can do all this stuff like that. Yeah. And that's amazing. Yeah. So for my employees, it allows me to give them more money because they can be more efficient with a tool that is basically free right now.
Yes.
Right. And, I think from the social media aspect too, it's great because I have a whole media team that, I love doing the Instagram and the Facebook. I love all that stuff. And for me, it's not about like, oh, do I boost this post? No, it's about being relevant. It's about knowing that my client that owns the taco shop that's been my client for 20 years knows more about me than he would know any of his vendors, because he sees me because I'm his friend on Instagram, and he sees me every day posting about my workout. So when I go and I meet my clients half the time, we talk 45 minutes about all the stuff that's going on through my Instagram feed that they've seen. Yeah. Dude, I saw you went on here. I saw you have that tiny home. I saw your workout. Dude, what are you doing for your work? This, that, maybe 15 minutes of business. That's how I prefer it, because I don't think life is not business. Life is just about, again, friendships and connections and energy. So with AI, to really to just utilize it as a tool that it was meant to be, and not to replace anything that I have going on, but to make it better
and faster, more efficient. Yeah, 100%. I love that. And I love that you brought that to the table with your employees as well, so that they can have success in their inside. So we've reached kind of the conclusion of our conversation, but now is the time to promote, Dilo. It's let everyone know where they can find you. I wish it did.
Yes.
But let everyone know where they can find you online, all social media handles, anything and everything. And
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And thank you and for having me in your house.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am the Dilo. I am the Dilo. That's on Instagram. It's my fun channel. barandrestaurantinsurance.com is my, my hospitality Instagram. It's also my website. I also have I am the Dilo website, which, just like follow me, you'll figure out who I am. And it's just a lot of fun. And the thing is like, if people listening to this just want to reach out to say hi, or something resonated, or they want to ask a question, totally cool. I'm not here to sell anything. I mean, I'm the worst and the best salesperson in the world. That's what I tell everybody, because
if I could live that life, that would be golden for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just kind of like, I will literally meet somebody, 18 times before I even tell them what I do.
Man.
And they'll figure it out, and then they'll end up coming to me. And
that's why I was so excited. I was like, I don't even need to introduce him, because again, if you're in any somewhat circle of fascination of your realm, you would probably bump into you either in social media or just someone who's like a fan of like that world. you bump into you and be like, that's Delo. Like, why? Yeah. So again, and once I become a fan of like everyone who comes in through our doors, it's like, I am a fan. I will be a fan for a very long time. And again, I hope that we can meet again and hopefully we can have a conversation, go to one of your favorite spots because I know you've got a lot of good ones. And,
man. We'll do it.
Sit down, have a drink and enjoy ourselves.
I would love that.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Well, before we go, we do have an outro for ourselves. It's findingarizonapodcast.com under everything. You can find us social media, Finding Arizona Podcast. And last but not least, we end every conversation with the kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends. And we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.